I grew up watching football, playing football. My time of being a kind of young person watching football, Maradona was always the best player in the world because his life is so amazing and complex and controversial and full of drama.
Make a documentary on any Indian figure by any chance?
Imran Khan.
We have with us Asif Kapadia. His documentary on Maradona is creating waves and it's releasing in India shortly. Pleasure having you on Bollywood Hungama first of all. Where did you get this germ of an idea for making a documentary on Maradona?
I'm a big football fan, so I grew up watching football, playing football, and my time of being a kind of young person watching football, Maradona was always the best player in the world. And so he's kind of been a part of my life for such a long time. I read a book about Maradona when I was a student in 1996. And really that was when the kind of germ of the idea of thinking, wouldn't it be great one day to make a film about him because his life is so amazing and complex and controversial and full of drama. So it started in 1996.
As you said that his life is very complex, so the reviews that have come out of the documentary, what it is being said is that his own countrymen, I read a review of maybe an Argentinian, and the guy said that we came to know about his highs and lows, which we did not know when he was making all those controversial things at that point of time. Do you feel that it's a sort of vindication for Maradona in a way?
I think what I'm interested in is the idea of making films where you think you know the story, you know these people, and the idea of showing you this character in a new way, using material that you've never seen, and somehow we have got older. So the idea of looking back at someone and reassessing their life, I guess, and the things that they did with a slight kind of bit of distance, I think shows you something new that you weren't aware of at the time.
Right.
So for us here in India, for people in England, but definitely for Argentinians and for Italians and Neapolitans and all these other people where Diego Maradona was such an important part of their life.
Where did you get the source materials in terms of the visuals and the videos?
I mean, the materials have come from so many sources all over the world. A lot of it came from two Argentinian cameramen that filmed Diego while he was playing, while he was in Argentina, when he went to Barcelona, and when he was in Italy. So this footage was shot in this old kind of video format, U-matic, and the material was shot for this film that they wanted to make about him, but the film was incomplete. So they started filming in 1981, and they didn't finish the film, and we've got that material now and made the film and finished it in 2019. 38 years.
The fact that he's a very passionate guy, he's someone who can be very whimsical as well, who can just react to almost anything. Do you find that fascinating as a case study in a way? Someone who has so many shades to him, and it's like black and white and several shades to his personality as well.
Yeah, I think the whole thing about making a film is you need to have conflict and drama and tension. Things have to happen. You need events. You need light and shade. And actually the film's all about what's going on around him, but also what's going on within him. And his whole story is, there's a really good guy, and there's also this slightly dodgy, edgy character. There's a genius, best player in the world, but there's also someone who's quite happy to score with his hand. So you've got this kind of idea of two sides of a personality throughout the film. And when you see the film, the audience will realize that what we're saying is also there's Diego, who's a young, sweet guy, and there's Maradona, who's like the persona he created to succeed, to deal with the media, who's like the ego. And he needs the both of them to somehow get by and survive.
Good autobiography, it's very important that you present both sides of the story to make it as authentic as it gets. At times it may not be that pleasant an experience for the person on whom the biography is being written on. Similarly, I think for documentaries as well. So how crucial is it that it's not like a whitewashing sort of exercise for Maradona, and is actually presenting the real side and with all his warts and blemishes as well?
Honestly, I think my job is to kind of tell the story and make the film. And it's for the audience and the kind of journalists to watch the film and to react and to see whether or not it does deal with all aspects of the characters. I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping that we reveal things about him and about his character that haven't necessarily been said before or explained before, sometimes said by him and sometimes said by other people who were around Diego at that moment in time.
The promo of the documentary starts with the Hand of God, the famous Hand of God 1986 World Cup. How important is that moment in his life?
Do you know what people would say, people who know Diego really well, people who've studied him, his biographer, Daniel Arcucci, who spent 30 years writing books about Maradona and with Maradona, he would say, if you're going to sum him up, you basically sum up Diego Maradona's life by that game against England. And the two goals against England specifically. Like I said, one is cheating. He uses his hand, he tricks people, he gets away with it. The other one is the best goals ever scored in a World Cup. And this guy 3 minutes apart can do these two things, and that sums him up, and that's why people love him and hate him. Still, wherever you go in the world, there are people, he divides the audience, and I think that's what's interesting about him. So he is a hero to Argentinians because he got revenge on England. And the reason it was revenge on England was it's 4 years after they had a war in the Falklands. So this character has a lot of issues that are bigger than just playing football. And that's why he's fascinating.
And you call it a trilogy. You've had a documentary on Argentina, you had a documentary on Amy, and which won you an Oscar and BAFTA. One is a sports person, second one is a musician, the third one is a sports person. So it's...
Yeah, but it's more to do with like how they live their lives. It's about characters. One of them happened to be a racing driver, one of them happened to sing jazz and became a pop star, and one of them happens to be a footballer. It's more to do with who they were as people and what they stood for and what happened to them. So really it's about the journey of their lives. That's what I'm interested in. How did they become the people they became by the ending?
Would you want to make a documentary on any Indian figure by any chance? Is that on your mind?
One day, yes, but I have no idea who. and I have to say, I've been asked that question a lot, and I wish I'd had something prepared. And the answer I always come up with is, which Indian would you make the film about? And I'd say Imran Khan.
Imran Khan. But
I know. But of all the characters that I grew up with, is the Pakistani guy who played a brilliant cricket, who was a good-looking charmer and womanizer, and who's now a politician, who I find the most interesting. Evidently not Indian.
But that is one person that...
No, I'm just off the top of my head, he's the one that I would say. I would love to come back and make a movie here. I made movies here when I was younger. I did a film, The Warrior, and my student film, The Sheep Thief. What I would love to do is come back and shoot a movie here as well.
And Warrior was the starting point for Irfan Khan.
Absolutely. I'd love to make another film with Irfan one day, yeah.
All right, and have you been in touch with him? He was in London recently.
Yeah, I've been seeing him, yeah.
What is it that you're going to do next?
I have no idea. I'm going to go home and see my family and think and read and just I made Amy, and then I did a TV show, Mindhunter, and then I went straight into Maradona. So I've done 3 films kind of back to back. So right now I'm doing this, promoting the film, traveling the world. I was in Argentina 2 weeks ago. I was in the US. The film's showing all over the world. Maradona's huge all over the world, and football is like the sport for around the world. So right now I'm spending so much time promoting that I've had no time to like think.
What do you find more fascinating? The world of documentaries or making feature films, cinema?
It's really interesting. I come from a background of fiction film. I love fiction films. Somewhere along the way, I slightly fell out of love with certain movies and fiction films, and I thought there's something about the honesty and the real characters and real stories, particularly in this day and age and everything that's going on in the world, that has really interested me. Also, the much more organic process that I make these films, where I can go wherever the story takes me. I have a lot more creative freedom when I make the documentaries. And even though they're smaller budgets, and in a way people think documentaries are smaller than feature films, they've been more successful for me. They've been sold around the world, they've made more money, they've won more awards, and I've become kind of more well known doing this thing called documentaries rather than the feature films that I started off doing. But for me, they're all movies. I love them equally, I don't think of one as being more important than the other.
Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.